Hi everyone. I wanted to come today to share with you my story about how I came about making my dolls. Many of you see me on lives and see me on Kathy's Worlds live on Thursday and have seen my dolls. Some of you are my Facebook friends and Instagram followers and have seen pictures of my dolls. I'm not very active on YouTube as far as my videos are concerned, but I really want to change that, and so I wanted to share this with you today. So I've made dolls over the years, many kinds of dolls, all kinds of rag dolls and stuffed dolls and teddy bears and all kinds of all kinds of styles. I've never made a true art doll where it involved painting and very specific things, and it's not a doll that you actually play with. So when I retired a couple years ago, I started exploring my wonderful time with freedom and being able to explore my creativity. And I decided to take a doll making class, and I was really drawn to a class by Idania I think it's Salcio. She's with Danita Art, and so I needed to find some new inspiration, and I saw the doll that she has her class called A Doll Story. So I the process of making the dolls after creating the canvas, I wanted to talk about that a little bit. The body is the canvas. You create the body, and then it becomes, as you then develop the doll and tell the doll's story, it's an intuitive and imaginative process. Eventually, the doll's story comes to me, and she'll tell me actually her name. She becomes a muse in my head as she becomes, as I call it. My dolls become. My first doll was Sassafras, and some of you have heard me talk about Sassafras in the lives. You've heard me talk about you've seen my Facebook posts with her silly little comments and her sassy self. But I learned so much from her and doing the process and learning the new style that I didn't do before. So Sassafras is here for those who have seen her. This is Sassy. Her first name is Sassafras, but we call her Sassy because she sassed me the whole way through. She is she told me from the very beginning she wanted red piggy tails, and so I certainly gave her red piggy tails. So this is this is what she looks like, front and back of her face. Um, the eyes were new to me. I started learning how to paint eyes after this process. This was my first set, and I continued. I probably have 20 pages of painted eyeballs all over my art journal. Um, I dress my dolls in as much vintage as possible. So I'm going to show you both her body so that you can get an idea. So here, she's not going to like it that I lift her skirt up. She'll just have to stop. So I'm going to lift her skirt up so you can see her body. So here's her body. This is her. This is her body, the bottom part of her body, her bottom part with her knees. Her knees are little beads. I didn't do that on all my dolls, just on the first doll, second doll, so I could learn that process. I didn't know what kind of shoes she wanted. She wasn't sure for a while, but she ended up with wanting boots with pink laces, and here they are. So her clothes, Sassy's clothes, are made out of vintage and antique handkerchiefs. So here's her slip, and then she has a sheer over top of that, and then this is a sheer handkerchief here, and then another handkerchief over top, and then a peplin over top of that. Her clothes are pretty much glued on and sewn on. Her little arms have the beads for the elbows, as you can see, so that she's kind of wobbly. And her arms move up and down. They don't stay very well because I was learning this process. This arm stays pretty good. Um, so this is Sassy, and she was my first doll to become. Of course, she wasn't satisfied until she was all done, and then she was like, I need something more. I need a sister. And so her sister was born. Now her sister is the same process, including the beads at the arms. I did the little black bead this time. I'm going to move up closer. I'm still trying to get used to doing the camera. So the little black beads, um, but her face is a little different. I had to, she had to have surgery. Um, I didn't paint her face correctly and did not let it dry. So I had to scrape the entire, because it started peeling when I painted, actually peeling when I started putting the glaze on her. And so when she started peeling, I had to peel her whole face and scrape her right back down to the fabric, except for her eyes. I was not going to lose her eyes. Her eyes are my favorite. So she also wanted black pigtails so she could be like her sister Sassy. She is wearing vintage lace and vintage crochet and a vintage button. And the fabric is from a vintage collection from my local quilt shop. And of course, vintage lace at the bottom. Sassy has some sassy little legs. Again, I'm going to show you Sassy's body because, not Sassy, this is Poppy. Poppy's body. Poppy is a little different in that she has the black beads for her knees, and she has little red slippers on hers, little Mary Janes for her shoes. When Sassy, of course, was the opposite of Poppy is the opposite of Sassy, where she is actually calm and encouraging, and was very encouraging as I worked through this. And then Sassy wasn't satisfied. Now she wanted to have a cousin. So a cousin became, and this is cousin Rosebud. She has loving, soulful eyes, and she just can look directly into your heart. She has cute little fuzzy hair, and it actually goes across the whole back of her here. Oops, she's got a little bit of hair there. And I did a different thing with her. I did not do the little, sorry, I'm still learning the camera. I did an armature to where her arms can bend and her legs can bend. I'm not sure that I'll continue doing that, but it was fun to try, and it was fun to try to work her out. The other thing that I did is I created her head separately and put her on so that she has, let me pull her down from there. She's on a stand. She has a neck. I don't know if you can see. Let me get up in there. I cut the back of her head and stuck her neck in there and sewed her up. So she has a little neck that is a little different than the other dolls are straight, just straight stitched, no neck. Her clothes, this is also a pattern from my local quilt shop. It's a lovely pattern. She has some vintage lace here. And this is the first time that I made pantaloons for the dolls. And I'm going to pull her dress up, and she's okay with that. So I made her little pantaloons. Here's her little pantaloons. They're so cute. And she has just little slippers on her little feet. But her legs also bend, as you can see. Her legs bend. So that was my lesson with Rosebud. She's so peaceful and calming. Of course, my daughter looks at her and says, she looks so sad. And I said, she's not. She's just soulful. So Sassy was happy for a little while, but then she whispered, we need a best friend. Well, I had to have a little bit of time to think about it. So I did. And so in the meantime, I was working on another set of dolls, and I'll show you those too. But then Sassy kept on, and said, we need a best friend. And so now Harmony was born. Harmony is a doll that has brought wellness and peace to the group. She says, and I love her little quirky smile. She's quirky, gives you a quirky smile. She also has little piggy tails, brown piggy tails. And we also did the neck thing where I put her head into the neck. She has vintage clothes. This is actually a vintage piece of fabric that I have. It's from the I believe it's from the 60s, maybe even the 50s, and vintage lace. She also is wearing little pantaloons, as you can see. She doesn't have shoes on yet. She hasn't told me what kind of shoes she wants. With her, she also has, this is an antique piece of lace here. I also created her shirt. I've made a pattern. So she actually has, this is a shirt that was actually made with sleeves. I sewed the sleeves. That was quite an experience for me. But Harmony comes with a wellness journal so that we can have our journey into wellness with Harmony. The wellness journal is one that I created. Some of you may have seen this as I worked on it on the live at Kathy's World, where I have the mandalas throughout here. There's wellness prompts in the pockets. We have mandalas. This is embroidered mandala. I have a mandala in here from Christy Brittleston. If I can turn the page with my hand. But it's stuck a little. And lots of pages to write. And then in the final, you have on a piece of watercolor, you get to do your own painting. It comes with a little paint kit. So this is Harmony's little wellness journal. And then finally, Harmony said, everyone needs inspiration. So Mariposa became. She brings Mariposa. Mariposa is an art doll that was created specifically for a class. And she brings a deep cleansing breath and positive thoughts about change. She actually is a class, and the class, you can take this class if you're interested. If you haven't already signed up, you would need to email DEFY, the Disabled Artists Foundation. Here, I'm going to do the email because I don't know how to do the thing on the bottom yet. That bottom thing, I don't know how to do that. So here you email help@disabledartists.org. If you email them and ask to take the Mariposa class, you too can take that and join us on Facebook when we have this class. I believe the class is $30, and you can take care. DEFY will take care of everything for you. So I wasn't done learning about dolls, and I'm still not done learning about dolls. I'm going to learn more. I'm going to make more. I just don't know where I'm going to go from this point. But I also discovered polymer clay. So here is my first doll that I created with polymer clay. I have 3 dolls in this series. It's called the Woodland Fairy series. This is Dahlia. Dahlia is a woodland sprite. She is made, you can see she's made out of fabric. She's stuffed, she's stitched, she's very organic. She has little roots for her arms. She has a beautiful head of dahlia flower, and her face is polymer clay. Um, she also has some stitching on her, and then the color here, these colors on her are wool, and I did some uh, wool felting on her body to give her just some color, a little bit of color. So this is my first polymer clay doll, and this is my woodland sprite. She wanted her friends to come along, and her next friend to come along was a woodland fairy. And this woodland fairy is my woodland fairy that was born of the storm. And her name is Stormy. And she's a tattered fairy. She's been tattered and bounced about through the storm. She too has a little bit of felting, not a whole lot, but she has long, beautiful legs and a beautiful little tutu, a flower tutu, and some felting for her blouse, and her tattered fairies, her tattered fairy wings, and she has a beautiful halo of blue flower. I'm not sure what kind of flower you would call that, but anyway, she is Stormy, and I know that a couple of my Facebook friends really and YouTube friends really love Stormy. Stormy said, "No, now you got to bring my other friend. My other friend needs to come, and my other friend is born from the trees. This is Maple. Maple, Maple is a tree fairy, and to get her whole body, it's hard to get her whole body in there without her face. Maple is a tree fairy. She has felting different colors, those fall tones of colors throughout, lots of fibers from her. She's wearing a maple leaf skirt, and her face is quite dark. She's a dark tree fairy. I'm going to move her so you can see her hat. She has a fairy hat on. This hat I created from felt and needle felting, and I created it, and she has a fairy hat. And then her wings are beautiful, beautiful leaves. Here is from the back. There is she from the back, and she even has some branches twigs sticking out that were felted. But here is her beautiful wings from the side. And there goes my dogs barking. They are barking at the door because someone is coming in. So there is my doll collection, and I'm happy to share that with you. You all can find me at this address, jclispy@gmail.com. That's how you can find me if you have any questions at this time. So, okay, talk to you later. Bye.